This movie's nuts. What I like about this kind of nuts is there's a point to the nuttiness. At the start of things, Max is captured and used as a blood donor, so he gets taken along this crazy adventure as a living medical device. Nuts, but it has a logic to it. Later, you'll see the soldiers bounce around on poles to catapult themselves onto vehicles. Nuts, but it has a purpose. Everything seems to have been thought out, and that's kind of what I loved about this movie. Mad Max is one of those franchises that was defined by its sequel. The world didn't blow up and turn to dust until the second installment. The madness of that world makes such an impression that in the present day it's surprising to learn that the first movie was a cop movie. And it was on the road, but it was a cop movie. And I find it similar to finding out that Jason Voorhees didn't get his killer mask until the third Friday the 13th movie. I mean, how could this ever exist apart from the landscape? It's weird that Mad Max ever meant something other than a large radioactive desert. And for years, Mad Max seemed to be just kind of a thing from the 80s. And then you started hearing rumblings about a sequel called Fury Road, and it was kind of an enigma, a movie that seemed destined to be talked about but never actually made, kind of like that French Dune movie. But here it is, and they succeeded wildly. This movie is a perfect representation of that world of Mad Max, and improves on it. In perfect movies, you get sort of great moments of crazy car pursuits and nutball enemies, or radioactive, I don't know, survivors and such. But it was kind of gravy on a story. But this one is just pure gravy. And the 3D, which is my interest, the 3D conversion works well. This is a very busy movie. I wonder what the 3D artist went through trying to capture all this dust, smoke, and debris, but they do. I've never really looked closely at a conversion before. This is the 2D version of the opening shot. And look under the car. Now the 3D versions flipping beside. Note that they blurred detail away. Also notice how the side of the screen is pushed in. That pushing in seems to happen in a lot of wider shots. Seems like a compromise, but I'm not sure I ever would have noticed if I didn't pause this. Also, look here behind the chain. This is from the original frame, now the left and right. Where did that little bit of background detail come from? Because it wasn't in the original. Did someone have to sit there and draw that in? Imagine the work that must go into this. I've also wondered about smoke in 3D. Notice in this frame they have added more smoke to the 3D version. So I guess that's how particles are dealt with. They're just drawn in on top of it all. It's an amazing conversion. There was a time when I thought conversions were a second-rate, illegitimate, pretend kind of 3D. Thanks to movies like this one, I've been proven wrong. This movie is evidence that conversions work. And if you've seen it, it's well worth your time to see it again in 3D. The landscape is so bleak that some of the scenic shots don't have anything for the eye to judge distance. Fortunately, most of the movie is very tight. These characters live in caves and metal boxes. Everything in this world is in a cage. There is no freedom. If you're outside, you're only there to run to your next cage. Cages are the only safety, I guess. 3D tends toward a window effect, and here that effect is really good at making the spaces feel very tight and small and dangerous. Max is very much along for the ride in this picture, almost to the point of being incidental. Many books on screenwriting will lead you to believe that a good movie is driven by the decisions of the people in it. But now, this is a good movie, and I don't see Max pausing to make too many decisions. This is 2 hours of instincts driven by circumstances. It leads me to wonder if maybe those writers may have actually meant to say that a good film is driven by reactions, because that's what this movie is an example of. Just reactive, very primitive reactions. I'm glad they pulled this off. It's interesting looking at the story of the movie that neither side of the conflict has much or any empathy for the soldiers. And in the greater scheme of things, I really wonder if anyone's life and greater society will change much afterwards. I could easily imagine this adventure bringing in a much worse state of affairs for everyone involved. A sequel is in the works, so I guess one day we might find out. I look forward to it. I hope it's in 3D. Well, if you have a chance, check this one out in 3D. Well worth your time.